Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Mohammad Badruddin, and today I'm going to solve another lab number 3 from Authentication module of server-side topics from Web Security Academy. So before going to the lab, just showing you a warning. This warning, as always, this video and its content are only for educational purpose, and I do not support any unethical or illegal act. That's been said, let's jump to the lab. So this is gonna be your lab today. Uh, Username enumeration via response timing. Okay. So in first lab, there is a vulnerability in the application, especially in the authentication process, that whenever you go and type incorrect username and password, so if the username is incorrect, you will get a specific error that invalid username, and if username is correct and password is wrong, so you will get incorrect password. In that way, you will know, okay, the application first check the username. If the username is correct, okay, not correct, it will give invalid username. In that way, you will know that, okay, this application is vulnerable for the username enumeration. You go enumerate the correct user, then you brute force the password. So when the developer knows, okay, the application, the authentication process is vulnerable, so developer fix that. And in the second lab, you see that whether the username or the password is incorrect, you will get only one error, that is invalid username and password. So in that way, you will not know, okay, what is actual behavior of the application. But when you go and enumerate, you will find, okay, that application is still vulnerable for enumerating the user. So we get the correct user, then brute force his password, and we good to go. Now in this lab, again, developer fixed that problem. And what developer did in this lab is, uh, if you make more attempts with wrong credentials, username and password, your IP will get blocked by the application for 30 minutes, and you cannot log in that duration. So you have to wait for 30 minutes. So this is a pain if you are a pen tester and you want to make enumeration. But because you are a pen tester, you have the knowledge, so you need to find a way to get into that. Okay. So in this lab, we get a valid username and password, and also we are given with two word list. One is for username and the second one is for password. So I already open up this username list and this password list. Okay, so let's go and start the process and see what we got. So go to the login page, and this time I'm going to open up both applications simultaneously. So now if I make a username like admin and the password is 123456, make login, and you will see invalid username and password. Okay, very good. Second time when I do the same thing but with different username 123789, so again we get invalid username and password. Third time I'm going to say username is root and password is root. So in the third time we also get invalid username or password. So fourth time I'm going to make this like Hillboy, and the password is 456456, whatever is it. And this time you can see you have made too many incorrect login attempts. Please try again in 30 minutes, because the application now blocked our IP and we have to wait for 30 minutes again to enumerate the user. So you have to hit your head against the wall, because this process takes so much time if you wait again and again for 30 minutes. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just let's capture this request with the burp suite and we will analyze the request. So go again and just say admin and the password is 111222333. Okay, let's go. we got that request, and still we cannot log in because we are blocked for 30 minutes. Okay, so this is our request and this is the response. Fine. So if we go here, you can see that this is the error. Now I have mentioned before when I covered the access control module about non-standard HTTP headers. So here in this lab we are going to use one of them, the non-standard HTTP header, that is come on. Okay, so first send this request to the repeater so that we can alter the request, manipulate the request, and we can send again and again. So I'm going to use X forwarded for, this is the non-standard HTTP header, but many places it is used because you need it actually. So before going into this, what is actually the X forwarded for authentication for a header? So basically this header is used to identify the originating IP addresses of a client, okay, when it connected to the web server through an HTTP proxy or a load balancer. Okay, so this header also used for debugging statistics. Okay, and it is basically most of the time it uses by the email servers, okay, and proxies and load balancers, so that whenever you go through that or your request go through that, so it will capture your IP, so they know, okay, further they can analyze the traffic and they can get the log. Okay, so here what happened when we make so many requests, so our IP is captured and get blocked. So to bypass that process, I am going to say X forwarded for equal to 1. Okay, and username is admin and password is this. Before, when we do the same thing without this header, okay, we got this message, this error. Okay, now when we bypass our IP, let's send the request and see what we got. Okay, go down and you can see invalid username and password. Why? Because we hide our IP behind this with this non-standard HTTP header. Fine. Now this time what we can make so many requests as much as we want. So root and let it same, but I'm going to change this value to 2. Send again, and you will see instead of blocking our IP, it let us pass and invalid username and password error we got. So this time I'm going to copy this and paste it here, so we will basically know this error is there or not. Again, I go to the request, change the value for X forwarded for header to 3 and username anything AASSDD, and go again, send, and you can see one match is there, means invalid username and password is there. Again, I'm going to make it WERT and send it again, but wait, sorry, uh, because we can make 3 to or 4 requests, after that we will block. So I didn't change, I forgot to change this value, but still we found invalid username and password, because we can on one value we can make 2 or 3 requests. So change this to 4 and change this also, send it again, and still, so you can see now we are not blocked. We can make as many requests as we want. So this is the purpose to show you. Okay, so now it means if we want to enumerate the username, so we need to use this X forwarded for header to hide our IP or to bypass this process where application block your IP. Fine. So now this is good. We took the first step and we bypassed that. Now send it to the repeat intruder. But before sending to the intruder, I just want to mention one more thing, because the lab is said username enumeration via response time. So in this application there are two things. The first one is application is blocking our IP, and the second thing is how we will know that this application is vulnerable for the user enumeration process. So for that we need to find out the response time. Okay, so as we can see, the our request takes 274 milliseconds. uh, on the bottom right hand corner you can see. Okay, with this button you can go and check the previous request. So I go back and you can see before that request we got 266 milliseconds for the response time. Go back again to check the previous request and 276 milliseconds, means the response time is very fast. Okay, now what if I make this password so long with anything you want? Okay, so I'm gonna copy it and paste it again, paste again, paste again. So the password is so long, but the username is incorrect, and also I'm going to change this value to 5 so that we can generate the new request, and our request should bypass the blocking process. So let's send this, and you can see 295 milliseconds, means there is no much difference. Again, if we change the username to root and send the request again, 281 milliseconds, still there is no big difference. But we got why this lab gave us the correct username and password so that we can analyze this. So now if we can put the correct username, okay, instead of wrong username, if we put the correct username and then before 281 millisecond we put the correct username, change the x forwarded time to 6 and let it be like the long password, and send it again, and let's see if the response time is delayed or not. Well, you can see the response time this time is 1884, means if the username is correct and we successfully bypassed IP block process and the password is so long, so we can see that there is a difference in the response timing. So now the agenda and the process is should be like this, that we will enumerate the user with the word list using burp suite, and once the correct user hit in the request username parameter, so we will get the delayed response, right? Okay, so let's send this request to the intruder now. Go to the intruder, come to the password position section, and we don't need all these parameters, so just clear this, and we need just these parameters x forwarded, because we need to change this in every request and also change this in every request. So I'm going to say just highlight this and make add. The second parameter I'm going to use is username, and just add this. So we have now two parameters. Second thing is, up to now we used sniper attacks only, but this time I'm going to use Pitchfork Attack. So what is Pitchfork Attack? This attack is basically uses multiple payload sets. Okay, and there is a different payload set for each defined position, up to maximum 20. Okay, means we can use up to 20 payloads, 20 positions, like this is the first position, this is the first payload, this is the second payload. So like that we can use up to 20 payloads. Okay, and the attack iterates through all the payload sets simultaneously and plays one payload into each defined position. Fine. So that's why I'm going to use the pitchfork attack. So the attack type is done and we select the payload. So this is the payload 1 and username is the payload 2. Now go to the payloads, and for payload 1, because we need to convert every time, we need to change the payload value but in numbers. So I'm using numbers and I'm going to use from 20 because we already did up to 6. So leave that 6 and 10. We start from 20 to we can say 120 or 200 is better, and step is 1 means every time it will increase 1 means 20. First request get 20, then the second request will 21, the third request will be with 22 means the payload value, the X forwarded value will be 20, 21, 22 like that. And as you can see here in the number format, in example this value is now in decimal format, so I'm going to say maximum fraction digits must be 0, and once we put the 0, so you can see we got the numbers without decimal. Fine. So this is okay. Now it's time to see the second payload. The second payload is username. The second payload is username. So second payload, and we need to load the user's word list. So I just load the user's word list. Go to the resource pool and option, everything is okay. Just start the attack. Okay. Okay. And here, just close this. Now let's analyze this a bit. So you can see this is the first payload value, and before this, because we are enumerating the user on the basis of response timing, so we need to go to the columns and we need to add this response received and response completed. So we will know how much time it will take to response. And here now this is the payload 1. X forwarded value is 20 and the first username is Carlos. In second time it increases its value to 1, so it becomes 21 and the username value is root. So like that it will go. Now as you can see, leave this part because it has no payload, no value, leave this. And as you can see that this response, this request, so this request gets response time 1800. Okay, so the response is completed on 1800. It means this username is correct, guessed. So let's check the response. So in response you will get invalid username and password because still password is invalid, you just get the username. Fine. Because all other request is 200, 250 like this, so there is no much difference because it's showing in millisecond. So I believe this one is the correct username, but I will let the process complete. So maybe there is sometimes because of network delay, because of network traffic, some request gets much response time. So maybe we will get another request or another response with response delay. So we will check that later, but let this attack completed. So I'm going to pause the video and come back once it completed. Welcome back, guys. So as I guessed that this is the correct username because instead of this we did not get any delayed response. So guessed is the correct username. And here in analysis section I added these. First thing is, if you attempt more invalid username and password, the IP is blocked. To bypass, we use X forwarded for, then enumerate the user. So we got the username, and the username is guessed. Fine. Now we need to brute force the password. So for brute forcing the password, we can use the same same payloads and everything, the same request. So go to the position. This time, just wait a moment. Yeah, okay. So this time we go here and just wait a moment. Okay, yes. So close this window. I discard. Okay. So we go to the position tab, clear all the payloads. Okay. Then add this payload because we still need this forwarded X forwarded header. So I will add this, and also I don't need this password this time, and instead of winner user I will use the correct user. Winner also the right user, but we will use we already have the credentials for winner, so no need for this. So I add the valid user guest and the password is 123456, and we need to brute force the password for guest, so add this one as the second payload. And we will again use the pitchfork, the same attack type. Go to the payload, and the payload one is the number, but we are not gonna use 20 to 200. We will use another values, so 300 to 410. Also, one more thing I wanna show you here, because once you go to the username and password, uh, sorry, just wait. So go to the password list. So as you can see here, there are 100 entries for the password. It means you need 100 from 0 to 100 values for the X forwarded header, right? So that's why I am assigning here at least more than 100. So it is 110. So this is okay, fine. Let's close this. And the next is payload number 2. Go to the payload number 2, and instead of user list we will clear this and load the passwords word list. Okay, so everything is good to go, and let's go start the attack. And this time we do not need actually response delayed and response completed, because we will use this technique to just enumerate the username. Now we already have the username, so what we will do here, what we will see, how we will know that whether this password is correct or not. So once the password is correct and the authentication process get completed, so it will redirect you to the account page of the user, and at that time of redirection you will get the 302 status code, right? So up to now we don't get. So I'm going to pause the video again, and no need to pause, I think we got it. Just pause the attack, not the video. So as you can see here, 302 response is there, and as you can see the request. So the request is guest username and the password is this. And once we go to the response, and you can see 302 found, and it's redirecting us to my account page. It means the authentication process is completed and we got the password. So the password is 123456789. Copy this, go here 123456789, and go to the application. So this time we are going to guest username and the password is 129 and 0. Okay, we cannot log in because our IP is still blocked. So we can do another thing. We can simply go to the proxy, and we can go sorry, not proxy, we can simply go to the repeater and change the X forwarded value to 500, put the username guest, and put the password 123456789, and let's go. So 300 302, fine. So we can say show response to the browser, and copy this. Go to the browser, start Bob Suite and open one new tab. Paste what we copied there and click OK. And you can see we are logged in. Fine. So we solved the lab. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please support, subscribe, like and share as much as you can if you find this content valuable, and we will do all these labs. So thank you very much. Bye.